but I am 100% committed to banning stock trading by members of Congress. So I'm not going to be dissuaded from that one way or another. And we can throw up as much chaff as you want to, but the fact of the matter is, members of Congress should not be trading stock. They should not be.
Senator Josh Hawley spoke up about banning stock trading by Pelosi members of Congress. And let me tell you, he hit the nail on the head with a hammer the size of Mount Rushmore.
Congress is a rich man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left. So, I mean, listen, the American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fanciful. It's a problem now. It is, and it's not just in perception, it is reality. Members of Congress are trading daily based on information that the public doesn't have.
And now I'd like to recognize Senator Hawley for his comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for working so diligently on this and accommodating my many suggestions and concerns over a period of months to make this the strongest possible bill. I think it's a terrific bill. Senator Scott threatened me a moment ago that if I made a lengthy statement, we might lose his vote. So I will be extremely brief.
Now let's pause, because when Hawley says Congress is a rich man's club, he's not being metaphorical. He's not being dramatic. He's telling the uncomfortable truth that most Americans already suspect. Our nation's capital is overrun with people who seem far more interested in making themselves richer than serving the public.
I just want to point out that the historic nature of this finally getting to a vote. There's been a lot of talk about banning stock trading by members of Congress. Never have we been able to get a vote. We're going to get that vote today. And I just think that this is such a simple proposition. The American people, when I go home and I say to folks, they ask me about stock trading, here's the thing that absolutely stuns them. They can't believe that it's legal already. They can't believe we can currently do it. Most members of the public think it's already banned. And when I say actually it's 100% legal, they say why? And there's no good answer to that question.
Hawley talks about how people back home react when he tells them that. He says they're stunned. They can't believe that it's legal. And I don't blame them, because it shouldn't be.
We should be here to focus on the public's business, not private gain. We shouldn't be here day trading. We shouldn't be here focusing on our stock portfolios. We should be here doing what the American people sent us to do. And that's what this bill is about. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I came in here happy to vote yes on this self-flagellation. For my own part, what I did when I ran for office, I divested myself of all my marketable securities, turned them into cash. I've been sitting on cash. And you know how much I've lost in terms of opportunity cost since that point in time. So, from my standpoint, I was able to do that. I had the capability of doing that. And I thought that'd be the honorable thing to do. My wife has since purchased an ETF, which this does exempt, and I think that's a good thing. I would caution people in terms of, I'm going to vote no now. We don't want to turn Congress into a rich man's club. I think it's already suffers from that. And again, I thought also, and I would want clarifications, mainly the reason I'm asking this, is are private businesses exempt or not exempt from this? I was told, again, it's hard to interpret legislative language, but if, I had a rather large manufacturing company, which I did not divest myself immediately, I since have, but that would be grotesquely unfair. We're going to limit the number of people, by the way, qualified people. I actually want people with manufacturing experience or business experience. People who've been successful in life. I'd like to see successful people come to Congress and bring their successful skills to bear here. So, again, I agree with Senator Romney. Insider trading is already illegal. I don't know. I think there's all kinds of suspected abuse. A lot of people come into Congress and all of a sudden they're multimillionaires later. But I think we do need to exercise caution. But again, I'm primarily speaking at this point because I want clarification. Does this or does this not exempt a private company of somebody who's going to run for office or a member of Congress? I mean, all of a sudden, does that have to be divested? Because I think that'd be.
Senator Hawley lays down the real weight of the issue. He points to former Speaker Pelosi, who's long been a lightning rod for this debate, because of how well her household's stock portfolio has performed. Better than Warren Buffett, some have said.
A travesty, quite honestly.
Is there an answer to that question?
The,
Have an answer?
yeah, the answer is that it's exempt if it's a small business as defined by the Small Business Administration.
So how small is small, defined by
500 and under.
500,000?
500 employees and under is a small business.
Definitely put me down as no.
So let me ask a question. So if you have 1,000 employees and you own it and it's just your private business, you have to divest of that business?
Yep.
Well, that's insane. I mean, who would want to do that? I mean, farms, family businesses have been going on for generations that they keep together, and sometimes families divide it by shares. We're going to make people divest of those privately owned businesses, and we think that's a good idea? I don't know. I mean, the thing is the popularity of voting for this to show you're against bad things is out there, but it's like, you know, one of the senators today said that no congressperson should enrich themselves from illegally obtained information. That's not what this bill's about. This isn't about illegal information. This is about owning stock. This means you're criminalizing everybody who wants to own stock. There's potentially a 27th Amendment violation in this, too, with taking people's salary. That's being adjudicated before the courts currently. But to vote against this sounds like, oh, gosh, you're for corruption. Nobody's for corruption. There are laws we passed, and I voted for the Stock Act a couple of years ago, and the Stock Act helped to ban or further ban what was already illegal. It has always been illegal to do insider trading for anyone in Congress or otherwise. With the Stock Act, I understand it is, we reaffirmed that. But I do fear that we're doing this, and I'm torn between what will the perception of how this vote will be and actually the how badly the bill is written.
When you elect someone to represent you, you expect them to be focused on your interests, not theirs. You expect them to care more about your grocery bill than their stock options. You expect them to make decisions based on what's good for the country, not what's good for their bottom line.
Of what it will do. And did any of the authors of the bill have a comment on whether this would require President Trump to divest? Senator Hawley, do you know what the answer to that is?
Divest from what?
Stocks.
I don't know what the state of the president's, the former president's current portfolio is. Whoever is elected president would have multiple years to comply. But I do know there's always an excuse for why we can't do a stock trade bill. I've heard this for years. And now we're being told, oh, this was drafted hastily. That's just simply false. I mean, we've worked on this for literally years. So I would just welcome those who now suddenly have concerns. Where have you been for the last few years? And listen, I'm happy to work with you as this moves to the floor. We can always do a substitute amendment. That's fine. But I am 100% committed to banning stock trading by members of Congress. So I'm not going to be dissuaded from that one way or another. And we can throw up as much chaff as you want to. But the fact of the matter is, members of Congress should not be trading stock. They should not be. And I know that there are those on this panel who have never supported and are never going to support a stock trade ban. And that's completely fine. That's your prerogative. But let's not pretend that this is about anything other than that. That's what this is about.
But what about banning of owning of your business? I got a family, I don't, but let's say I have a family business and it's got 1,000 employees and I own it. I have to divest in that? Do you think that's a good part of your bill?
Is that the current, Mr. Chairman? Listen, again, I'm happy to work with anybody who has concerns on substance, who would actually like to get to a result on this and thinks it will improve it on the floor. I'm delighted to work with you on it.
Can I make a suggestion which would solve this? Don't force divestiture. You run for office, you have a stock portfolio, that's it. Now you can't trade it. Okay, you can't buy more stocks and trade stocks, so you want to run for, you can hold on to your stocks.
As Hawley points out, this isn't just another conversation. This is a historic moment. For the first time, there's a real vote on the floor to ban stock trading by members of Congress. Not talk, not promises, not press conferences, a vote, a real chance to change something.
Okay? You can always divest, okay? You can always buy an ETF. Don't force people to sell their business. Don't force them to sell stocks they already hold. Don't force divestiture. Once you're here, you can't be buying and selling. Again, I don't do it. I did divest. I turned it all into cash. Okay? So that's how I handled myself. I don't want to force what I did on everybody else, though. Not everybody's in my position. I don't want to turn Congress into a rich man's club. And by the way, I certainly don't want to impose a self-flagellation on other branches of government. We can do this to ourselves. I don't think we should do it to the executive branch or the judicial branch.
Congress is a rich man's club. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left. So, I mean, listen, the American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fanciful. It's a problem now. It is, and it's not just in perception, it is reality. Members of Congress are trading daily based on information that the public doesn't have. And now we've heard the insider trading. I understand that insider trading is banned, but let's be honest. Members of Congress get information that is technically not insider information as defined by the securities laws that is nevertheless extremely beneficial to know, and often we get it earlier than other people do. That's why senators rushed to trade stock at the beginning of the pandemic and were investigated for it. Ultimately couldn't be prosecuted because technically it wasn't a violation of the securities laws. Was it a good idea? No. Should it be happening? I submit that it should not be. So again, I just want to say to anybody who would like to support this bill but says I have concerns over technical aspects of the drafting, I hear you loud and clear, and I'm happy to work with you.
Now, to be fair, not everyone agrees. Some senators push back, talking about family farms, small businesses, opportunity cost, and yes, the potential unfairness of forcing divestment. And look, I get it. We want smart, successful people in Congress. We want folks who understand business, who've built companies, who've run things. We need that experience. But let me say this as clearly as I can. If you're not willing to put public service ahead of private gain, then you shouldn't be in Congress. Period. You can't serve two masters. You can't claim to represent working-class voters while building your own stock empire off insider knowledge. That's not leadership. That's corruption wearing a tie. So here's where I want to end. We live in a time when people are losing faith in the system, deeply and, in some cases, permanently. They don't believe elections matter. They don't believe lawmakers care. They don't believe Washington works for them anymore. And frankly, it's hard to blame them, because when you see senators and representatives turning public office into private enrichment, when you see the people who are supposed to be on your side getting richer while you struggle to afford gas, groceries, or a mortgage, you start to wonder, who are they really working for? This bill, the one Senator Hawley's fighting for, won't fix everything, but it's a start, a real one, because it says to the American people, we hear you. We understand that public trust matters. We understand that transparency matters. We understand that if Congress wants to lead, it has to start by cleaning its own house. As always, thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you next time.